The goodness inside you is stronger than what you fear. That's lovely, isn't it? Is it true? Is it true in your experience? And well, in my experience, it is. But I think it's a bit to do with timing. Like if you try and remember this when you're covered by what you fear, it's probably not going to help. It's probably going to make it worse. You'll get into a big fight with yourself about it. Because when you're covered by fear, it can be very difficult to remember truths. And this is a truth, but it's a truth that is best explored when you're not covered with fear, which is not an easy thing to do because there are a lot of things going around at the moment that encourage us to be very afraid. So that's why I encourage meditation, because meditation is sort of where you can reflect on this when you're not covered in fear. Because what happens is, well, number one, you have to know there's goodness inside you. We're not really conditioned to know that. We're conditioned to, at best, think we're mostly good, or we've got mostly good inside, or, at worst, that we have no good inside. I've worked with lots of people who just thought they were just flat out bad. So knowing that there's good inside you, that's tricky. That's tricky to get there, to get to that knowledge. It's not like it just pops out. You have to kind of let it come. And it starts with this, like things like this idea, the goodness inside you is stronger than what you fear. Like when you begin to kind of have a think about that and go, well, is that true? What is this goodness inside of which you speak? Then when you're meditating, if you meditate the way I do, and you're just going into the mystery, because when you go into the mystery, you're kind of going where the goodness inside you is, really. Because if you think about fear, right? Fear, it's very high frequency, very tremulous kind of energy, very, vibrates very fast. Just think about your nervous system when you're covered in fear. And then when you think about goodness, or when you think about the mystery, or when you think about deep dreamless sleep, because it's kind of all the same thing. When you go into deep dreamless sleep, after you've got through your scary dreams, because if you're afraid, you're probably going to have scary dreams. But there'll be a point when you just drop out the bottom into deep dreamless sleep. There's no fear there. But the mystery is there because that's what you go into when you go into deep dreamless sleep. You go right into the mystery. And I would say that's where the goodness is. So when you meditate, and you meditate with the focus on the mystery, you're kind of going into that goodness consciously. It's not like your mind is involved and you're like, I must find this goodness inside me so I can combat the fear. It's not really how it works. It's more a case of you're kind of putting yourself in the vicinity of the goodness inside you. And slowly it kind of dawns on you. And what it does is when the fear comes, and the fear wants to take over, it's a bit easier to see it. You're a bit to the side of it. You can kind of go, I know this, I know the mystery, and I know this fear, and I can see it. And because I can see it, it's not me. I know it's not me because I'm looking at it. And that changes things. But as I say, don't try and Pollyanna yourself out of fear of like, oh, the goodness inside me is stronger than this. That's not going to work at all. But you can prepare the ground for it by becoming familiar with the mystery, becoming familiar with who you are, and that helps. It helps in the difficult times when the fear is there. Denying you're afraid doesn't work, I don't think. It hasn't worked for me anyway. Whereas acknowledging it and then kind of through having your consciousness speed up a bit through meditation, you can get a bit to the side of it. You can kind of see it for what it is. You can go, yeah, I can see that fear, but I can see it coming. And then when you're quiet, when you're not covered in fear, you can allow this idea of that the fear, that the goodness inside you is stronger than what you fear. And that helps.